There is real evil. It lurks in the darkest shadows in our most ordinary towns. Between the worlds we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. This is Terry with NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. And how is everybody doing on this cold Saturday evening down here in Central Texas? It's about 50 degrees. I mean, for you guys up north, 50 degrees is like summertime weather. But for down here, southern climate people, man, I gotta have my hoodie on. I had a beanie hat on earlier, and it's freaking cold. They're talking about possible sleet and snow next week, and I've always tell people, man, if you guys don't believe in the climate change and all that stuff, just come down to Texas and you'll see the difference. I mean, 1 minute it's 90 degrees for like 10 straight days, and we're smack down in the middle of winter. And we've never had 90-degree weather here, so that tells you that things are happening pretty fast to our planet. And if we don't change it, there's going to be certain things that's not going to be good for us. So we got to do whatever it takes to take care of our home. But with that being said, man, I am Camden, Ohio with Miss Susan Fox. Miss Susan Fox. Haunted Playthings.
Yes.
The reason why, I reached out to you for the simple fact because you said haunted playthings, and I'm like, okay, let me see what this young lady's talking about. But welcome to the show. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me to discuss a little bit about your life and what you do, and have with all these wonderful gifts that you have behind us. Man, tell the world a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living.
All right. Well, my name's Susan Fox, and these days I only do haunted playthings. It's my store on eBay, and I sell haunted dolls mainly, but I do have other items. I have other toys that become haunted. I have some other objects like mirrors and boxes and statues and things that become haunted. But my history is I'm an RN, and I have been for, pushing 33 years now. And I worked mainly in hospice, nursing homes, did a lot of end of life care. I've always been kind of drawn to that. So that's sort of what I've done. I've been a nurse, and now, I'm a medium. I'm a psychic medium, and I'm able to connect with the ghosts. I have since I was a child. I kind of grew up in a religious home where when I would say things about it, it was very discouraged. And, they told me it was the devil and things like that. So I didn't really get in touch with it until my adult life when, I became, I was able to accept who I was. And, and it's just like any other skill. The more you use it, the better you get at it. So, at this point, I'm not like clairvoyant. I can't tell what other people are thinking or whatever, but I am intuitive, and I can connect to the dead.
Interesting. Okay. Well, welcome. I appreciate you, like I said, taking time out of your day to come hang out with me. Feel free to get comfortable and get you something to drink or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure what the weather is up there in Ohio. I'm pretty sure it's cold.
It's bitterly cold. Yeah, there was some snow on the ground this morning. Not really, it didn't really stick, but yeah, so it's pretty cold.
That sounds like a great tea night for me if I'm up there.
Well, I got this recipe for sort of like a mock-up of, it's supposed to be like Starbucks cinnamon dolce latte. So you make your own syrup and you put it in your own espresso. And so that's what I'm drinking. It's kind of late for that, but I'm going to do TikTok after this. So.
Well, that's okay. Hey, man, a shot of vodka or Jack Daniels might sound good. It might sound perfect. But anyway, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. And, feel free to tell me what you think, and if I ask you a question and you disagree with me, feel free to let me know. I love a good conversation or a good debate on what you might think, what I might think.
Right.
And we're gonna go from there.
All
Uh,
right.
quick shout out to everybody that's on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook tonight. Appreciate all you guys that are going to be joining us in this extraordinary podcast. This is the first of my kind that have someone on with haunted playthings. Now, I have people that have haunted dolls, but not as many as what you're representing tonight.
Yeah.
It's a little unusual.
Can I show you an example of a haunted toy I have that I think is really cool?
Oh wow, he looks. Is that a Jack in the Box?
Yeah, and his name is Jasper, and he does not like being messed with. But yeah, he's an old Jack in the Box. He's like an antique.
Oh wow, that is interesting.
They choose lots of interesting vessels, and it's funny. Sometimes, I'll ask them why they chose the vessel. Sometimes, like with the dolls, they'll choose it because it resembles the way they looked in life. Other times, it's just a matter of convenience. But I find that with the clown dolls, I get a lot of really negative spirits that are drawn to those. I think they like the kind of incognito thing of, looking like they're all innocent and hiding behind the mask,
Interesting. With that being said, the first question of today is, I'm pretty sure if you probably heard this before. What possessed you to carry on such a taking of, collecting haunted items?
I don't know. I feel like they drew me to them, more than I went out looking for it. I've always loved like retro things, and I'm into a lot of I like a lot of spooky stuff and horror stuff, and so that kind of thing always interested me. But they seek me out. I online, sometimes they'll call to me, and especially live in stores and yard sales, and I get them all kinds of places. And sometimes they can be quite expensive, especially if it's like an antique shop and they're just really insistent on coming home with me, so sometimes I have to pay a bit more than I'd like to. But everybody who frequents my shop, they know that that's sort of how I base prices. It's on how much I paid for the vessel, and then of course I need to be reimbursed for my time and, the shipping and all that stuff. But so that's kind of how I do it. And there are a lot of haunted doll people out there that are selling haunted dolls for $200 and $300. And the vast majority of my dolls are between $15 and $50. Now, there are a few exceptions, things that I've had to pay a lot more for the vessel, things like the antique toy box, things like this is a haunted doll lamp.
Oh, wow.
Some of the more unusual stuff, costs a little more.
That's it. Have you ever came across a haunted item where there's two haunted items, and at some point in their lives, they were married?
Yeah, I have had that happen. I had a couple recently that they were in a set of dolls. I don't know if you know what a topsy-turvy doll is, but it's got, actually I can show you. It's got one face on this side, and then you turn it upside down, and it's got another face on this side. So this particular doll is haunted by a grandmother who had custody of the child, took care of the child, and the child who died in a car accident. They died together, and then they later possessed this doll that had actually belonged to the little girl, which is not always the case. Sometimes they're just taking vessels out of convenience, but in that particular case, it did belong to the person.
Okay, so the marriage couple that you came across, how does that interact towards you? Are they automatically have to be together? Is that like because they were married at one point, and I think they still want to be together, even though they're in
Mhm.
two different dolls. They still want to be able to enjoy that time. So
Yeah.
when
Mhm.
you choose to sell one, is it a package deal, or do you keep them? Or you try to separate them? How does that work for you?
Usually I find if they're together like that, they've usually died together at the same time. I haven't personally come across, he died young and she lived till she was 90. I haven't seen that. I've just seen people who, died at the same time. And yeah, I do. I don't split people up that are connected that way. A brother or sister. I've had some sets of twins, and yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I mean that sounds good. I mean, because I wouldn't want to be separated from my loved ones. Uh, how does your residence feel when you walk into it, knowing you got so many different types of people that are in your house? I can
Mhm.
imagine the energy that flows through your house every day. And I can imagine when you have guests over, they probably feel the same thing.
A lot of people are kind of creeped out about it. And one of the rooms that I have up here on the second story is a guest room, and people will laugh all the time and say, "I'm not staying in that guest room." But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. You have to really set boundaries, and I make sure that all of my spirits, my ghosts know that the living are in charge. They're welcome to be here. I'm happy that they're here. But just like when you visit anybody's house, you have to follow the rules of their house. And occasionally I'll get a bad spirit that they don't like to do that. And then sometimes you have to do some binding of energy and some things to settle that down.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about some of these things that are going on in Hollywood, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Uh, how do you feel about the Annabelle doll and the way it's presented to society?
I
Uh,
mean, I think it's really interesting. I've never seen it. I would like to. I think it'd be a lot of fun to see it. Um, I mean, I like that they're making movies like that. It just draws more attention, and kind of makes it seem a little more mainstream and legit.
yeah. How do you feel about? Because I remember my first haunted doll I've ever seen was the movie Chucky.
Yes.
When Chucky first came out, and I think that is the reason why people start, and they might have been doing it beforehand, I'm not sure. But in my case, when Chucky first came out and that little doll, the soul jumped in that doll, and I think it kind of opened up the eyes to a lot of people to see if this really happens in that
Hmm.
particular order, in that particular case.
Yeah.
Uh, can you tell me, in your own perspective, what people, how people present? I mean, not present. How people think that how all this started when it, when it came to collecting dolls and stuff like that. Because, like I say, Chucky was the first one I've ever known.
Well, when you think about it, like voodoo, like way back, voodoo dolls,
Okay.
cursed dolls, haunted dolls. You look through different cultures, you'll find stories, over and over. So, it's something that's been noticed for forever. As long as there have been dolls, there have been spirits that attach to them. And it's interesting. That's one of the questions I like to ask when I'm doing like my interview with the dolls is, why did you decide to attach to a vessel like this? And they tell me that they like the feeling of the human body. It feels more natural to them to have that boundary. It gives them like a home, a place to rest. It feels more natural to have hands and feet and a head,
Mhm.
so a lot of spirits like that. They like to feel contained.
Do some of your spirits leave the body and wander throughout your residence?
Oh, absolutely. I told you this is up on a second story. It's like
Mhm.
cubbies at both ends, and there's a staircase. At the bottom of the staircase is my main living room, and there's my recliner, my TV, my fireplace, all that stuff. So I sit right there, and I can see up the stairs, and I see apparitions peer over the railing at the top of the stairs. I'll hear things. I have one really old doll that's stuffed with sawdust, and I came up one day last week. I did a TikTok video about it, and there was a trail of that sawdust all the way down the hall of the landing and down the first 2 steps, and it stopped. So I didn't move the doll. There was nobody else here. So, she's spreading sawdust around one way or another.
Yeah, interesting. Do you have any dolls that are unique in nature?
Absolutely. I mean, they're just as unique and as different as, the people that you meet on the street. Everybody's got a story. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to collecting haunted dolls is, you get that history, which is really interesting, especially, I have dolls from the 1800s and the 1920s and the 1950s. And it's just interesting to take a peek into what their life was like at that time. So yeah, everyone is different.
Okay, let's turn. We're going to make a left turn here for a moment, and we're going to talk about the downside of the dolls that you have collected. A lot of people sometimes say that people that collect haunted dolls also collect souls. They are a collector of souls. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like you have to be respectful, and treat them with dignity. Sometimes I'll see videos on TikTok, and they'll have a couple dolls sitting there, and they'll have cat balls and lights and those talk boxes, and sometimes I think, does that person really want all that? I mean, I think they probably tolerate it and like the attention for a few minutes, but no, you just have to remember that they're real people and treat them with some dignity. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
As far as bad things, I think collecting dolls can get really expensive. Like I said, some people will charge $200 for a haunted doll. I feel like it's addictive. It's one of those things like tattoos or drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's like once you get started with it and you get that excitement and that feeling and that interaction and you can feel that energy, you just want more and more of it. So, that's kind of one of the bad things. You get that little dopamine hit every time you have some kind of interaction with them.
Do you open is your house open to outsiders to come in and look at your showcase of haunted dolls, or do you keep that private?
No, I welcome that. And I've actually thought about doing by appointment where people can come up like a boutique and they can shop that way. So that's something that we're going to be looking at in the future.
Interesting.
I am kind of out in the country, so it wouldn't be like heavily traveled, but I'm sure there are some people who would love it.
Right now, I know that people sometimes attach themselves to more than just dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Are you open to more than just dolls? Are you open to like recliners, whatever the person that's living is attached to? And they might attach themselves to that. You got recliners, you got other things. It's a vast number of things that people can attach themselves to. Are you open to more than that, or just?
Yeah, I've got this is a little hand mirror that a lady is still attached to, and you can see her reflection in it sometimes. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, I have come across some other items. I have like a wooden statue that's definitely has an attachment to it. A lot of times you'll see they like boxes, like cigar boxes or decorative boxes and things like that. So yeah, I mean, the energy can attach to whatever.
And the biggest question is, like you say, spirits like that feel of having, the sense of feeling like they are alive again, because you got arms and legs, a neck and a head and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But is it possible that a spirit can jump into a item just to hide from something?
Hmm.
They
Yeah,
don't.
we talked about this before about, how I feel like where the ghosts are, I call it the middle ground. So for me, it's like, this is the physical realm. And when someone passes, the light's going to open for them. We know
Mhm.
this to be true from all these near death stories we've heard from people, right? So it's pretty quick. Okay. And they can choose to go to cross over. If for some reason, if they hesitate too long, they lose that chance right then. There are other chances for it. It can be done. But so if they decide not to go in, then they hang back and they're in that middle ground. So I do have some dolls that are able to talk to the people on the other side yet, and they're like a conduit between us and the people who have crossed over. So there are some dolls with that, powers, if you want to use that word. So yeah, it's interesting.
Very interesting, because that's the first I've heard of that before.
And they can hop vessels, say they're porcelain dolls. A lot of them, if it breaks, they can hop to another vessel. If they just find something they like better or whatever, they don't have to stay connected to that. Um, I have had a few dolls where I don't know where the spirit went. Maybe it crossed over. Maybe it's been sitting for a while and I get the pendulum out and then all of a sudden I'm not getting anything. And I don't know, you ever be sitting in a room and somebody walks in and you didn't see them, you didn't hear them, but you can feel that energy and something makes you turn around and there's somebody there. It's
Hmm.
that same kind of feeling. That's the closest thing I can describe it to someone who's not as sensitive. That's how
Kind
you
of,
can
it,
tell.
it kind of remind me a little bit of deja vu when you look
Mhm.
and you look again and you think you see something, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's like a feeling too big to ignore, you know?
right, right.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot when I'm in a cemetery, when I'm investigating a cemetery. I get that a lot.
I feel like sensitivity and, psychic kind of gifts, I compare it to like sexuality. I feel like it's on a spectrum. I think everybody is sensitive. It's just how sensitive you are, like where you fall on that spectrum and
Mhm.
how open you are to accepting that gift. You can have really good gifts, but never really be open to it.
Right, right. We're gonna talk about your gifts here for a minute. You say you are a psychic medium, right?
Right.
Uh, a lot of people don't know the difference between the different levels of mediumship. And the one thing that really confuses me is there are a lot of people out there that say that it can be taught. It can be taught in a school.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that people such as yourself who are gifted, you were born with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lineage thing. It's your great grandmother, your grandmother, you, then your
It does seem
kids,
to run in
so on and so on
families.
and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how is it possible that at this day and age that people can be learned and taught how to be a medium on something that clearly that's in your DNA?
Right. Well, I could go to school and try to be, I don't know, an astronaut. And it doesn't mean I'll be good at it, but I could go try, And it's about aptitude and about that spectrum that I talked about. If you're fairly far along on that sensitivity spectrum, it's amazing what you can do when you start to practice. It's just like anything else, you got to practice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Uh,
The more
how
you
much time?
use the gift, at least for me, the more I use it, the stronger it gets. So,
How much?
I try to keep it active.
How many years have you been doing this? I mean, how many years have you? Wait a minute. You said you've been doing this since you was a kid.
Yeah.
Uh, but how long have you actually went into practicing to evolve to where you are now?
I've probably collected dolls my whole life. I've always loved dolls. And, like I said, I was a nurse for a lot of years. I feel like a lot of spirits maybe followed me home, that kind of thing. I've always been aware of the spirits everywhere. And in the last couple years, I've, gotten to the point where I started to feel like my calling was to like be a matchmaker and to connect people with the spirits. There's so many people that are interested. They want that experience. And I try to give it to them.
Wow. Man, I will have to ask you this question.
Mm.
So please, if you can give me, I don't know if you can give me the direct number, but how many different personalities you think you have in your house right now with all the haunted dolls that you have?
I mean, hundreds. A
Wow.
couple, probably a couple hundred.
Now,
I have a lot of
crazy.
really small dolls, and sometimes, they'll have attachments as well. So, I mean, I call those pocket ghosts, and people like to take them to work. I have one lady that takes it for bingo and, is a ghost that helps with good luck and stuff like that. So, they all, like, we all have gifts, they all have gifts as well in that middle ground and things that they can do. One of the main things that I feel like a lot of them do for us is they vibrate at a higher level. They're closer to that vibration of unconditional love and joy. So they
Mhm.
help to kind of raise that vibration level in your house and keep your mood up and keep you happy. I think that's a lot of people don't realize that's why they like them, but that is one thing that they're doing for them. They might think, oh, this doll isn't doing anything. It's doing that for you.
Now, we mentioned the word voodoo. Do you have any voodoo dolls in your collection?
Yeah, I had one and she just sold and she was really interesting. She's on my TikTok. You can look at her, but yeah, I actually found her in New Orleans in a parking lot at the Lafayette Cemetery #2. And she said that she had been waiting there for me.
Oh, wow. That
Mm.
is amazing. How do you feel about the Island of Dolls? Would you ever want to go there?
I would. I mean, I think it would be really interesting. Yeah. And a lot of people are worried about evil, and a lot of people wouldn't have a haunted doll because they're afraid they would, bring in something demonic. But it's all about intention. I set an intention that only good things are welcome, only light and love, and I don't mess with anything demonic.
Yeah, the D word, dude.
Yeah.
Demonic. So the biggest question is, how would you know?
I mean, I can tell, if it's something demonic. It's got a different. I mean, there's bad people, ghosts, and they vibrate at a certain level, but the demonic stuff is just like a really low kind of vibration. And the thing that I find is they're not really interested in coming to a place where there's so much love and happiness. They want
Mhm.
to find a place where they can inch their way in to, you know, take advantage of people's unhappiness and bad situations. So, you protect yourself by keeping your house clean, your energy clean, and your vibration high.
How do you manage to keep everything grounded where in your house? It's I can imagine. I mean, because your levels are fluctuating. I mean, you can set boundaries true enough, but there's always something that's gonna, boundaries sometimes fluctuates and it's never consistent like it always say, that you want it to be. So how
Yeah.
are you able to do you go in and just uh, salt down certain things, like you say, clean up. What is your everyday uh, life with so many personalities? I mean, how do you handle so much, at a short period of time?
Yeah. I mean, I find, if I give them attention every day, it's my job. I kind of always liken it to raising people who breed dogs and sell puppies. It's kind of like that. There's always new ones coming in, there's always some going out. There's some that I get really attached to that, I'm happy when they sell and they're going to a good home and they're being adopted, but at the same time it's sort of like, oh. So I mean, I do saging on a regular basis. White candles help keep a pure level, prayer, vibrational work, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Which one of your dolls? Which one of your dolls you would have to say that wants to get the most out of you? That they got to have your attention. Which doll would that be?
I'll show her to you. This is Tara. And Tara is a really cute girl, but she is a terrible brat, really. She was a brat in life. She caused a lot of problems. Yeah, she's 7-year-old. And
it's a baby.
Yeah. It was 1978, and she had been an orphan. So I don't know if it was, maybe something that happened at the orphanage that made her be this way. But yeah, she's not a good girl. What happened to her is she was sneaking and smoking her mother's cigarettes, and caught her dress on fire. And she would kick her mother, she would call names, she was, I'm talking, this would be her newly adopted parents. They hadn't had her very long when this happened, and so that's how she died. And she hasn't learned a lot. She's still very she's not afraid to call names, and she's just
now does she's
one that is like, trying to get your attention all the time.
Consistent attention.
Yes.
Has she felt any drawback with any of the other dogs that are there? Are there any dogs that say, "Hey, man, this woman here is she's causing a lot of problems, so we got to get rid of her. We got to send her away."
There are some spirits that are like, will instigate and try to turn your other spirits against you. But I mean, for the most part, they're also grateful, and they're vibrating at that higher level, and they're not down with that. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of ways that you can bind energy. You know how like they have Annabelle in that box when it's locked and all that stuff. Well, what works for me, and I feel like it's all about intention, but I'll take like a black pillowcase, or if the doll's bigger, a black trash bag, and I'll put them in and tie the top with a string and tell them that their energy is bound. Okay. So I'm doing it with the intention that I'm binding their energy. So at that point, they aren't able to go beyond that barrier to do anything or affect us in any way. And it's almost like a timeout for a child. When I put them in there, I'll let them know, how long they're going to be in there, and then I'll get them back out and give them another chance, but that has happened a few times.
Interesting. And who's the least one that gives you problems? But occasionally might come down and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Call it to check up on you. You would think these would be the ones that are a little bit older and a little bit more mature compared to the young lady that you just had in your hands.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them that way. They're here for me. And I mean, she's still young, but Mindy is in here, and she's just such a loving spirit, and she's able to make her light blink off and on. So if I'm downstairs and everything's dark up here, I can see her light. Sometimes when her light is shining like in a circle on the wall, you can see the silhouette, like a shadow of Mindy as well. So she's really an active and a very powerful. Sometimes the young ones, I guess because they have all that energy, they're just very active.
Interesting. Are there any of them that are just super playful, where they're not always in the same place where you put them the next day? I mean, they move around, and just you think you put them here, next thing you know, they're in the bathroom. Or
that's happened with Tara. That's one of the things that she and I have had to have discussions about. She was standing outside my bedroom door. And another time she was by my coffee pot when I went first thing in the morning to go make coffee, which was a little startling. So, yeah. But mostly what you'll see is usually it's just a shift on the shelf,
Mhm.
you'll know they were facing this way and then they'll face that way. I have some of them that like to face each other if they've got a close relationship with the ghost beside them. A lot of times the dolls will like orient to each other and stuff like that. Sometimes a shift like that, or knocking their hat off or flopping themselves over, or all that is just saying, I want to talk to you, So if I come up and, I'm always up here because I've got my office in here where I do my boxing of my dolls and things for my eBay store. So, I'm always checking in with them. And if somebody's moved like that, we'll sit down with the Ouija board, we'll get out the dowsing rods and a lot of times I'll do TikTok videos with my dowsing rods and, they just move so strong up here because of all this energy. It's just crazy.
Oh,
So,
I can.
because I'm getting like a collective, so I can ask questions like, are there any ghosts inside any of these dolls? Okay, when it crosses, it's a yes, I always like to ask this question too. Do any of you stand by my bed at night and watch me sleep? Yes. Because I feel that.
May
Yeah,
I ask a question?
sure.
How are you guys enjoying the show?
Yes. They like it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man.
I just think dowsing rods are amazing. Like they'll just sit still when I'm not asking anything, and they'll answer correctly. Absolutely. Yes, they work.
Now, would you prefer the dowsing rods or use the Ouija board? Which one do you prefer?
I mean, it's sort of like texting or making a phone call or doing FaceTime, they're just different tools. I like the dowsing rods because they're so sensitive. I like the pendulum because it's so portable. I'll stand in stores with this and I know people think I'm, a witch or crazy. I don't know, but I'm not afraid to use it out in public. And cause I don't want to buy a doll that's empty. It's just not, I don't need that, so I do that.
Do you sometimes buy a doll that's empty so eventually someone that might be that might see it and might want to jump into it?
I've never done that on purpose, but I've had people like sometimes people will bring me dolls because they'll think it's creepy or, and they know what I do, or they're just like, check them. I don't want these. You can check them. And I've had like a box with maybe 3 or 4 that weren't active and then gone back later and a spirit has gone into them, and I'll ask them that, were you just roaming around here, and I'll get like a yes on here, which is like a circle. So yeah, that can happen.
That's interesting because one of the biggest topics in the paranormal community is, why do spirits linger?
Hmm.
And there's so many different, you know, reasons why, or they think that spirit's a reason. Like you said before, most of them just aren't ready for that final judgment,
Yeah.
And most of them probably, you know, they just like the way that they're, they just love the situation that they're in. It's not that they're ready to be, they could be good people and just not ready to move into the light. I mean,
I find that a lot. They have unmet needs that they still, they want to do something they haven't done. They want to help people. I find that a lot. So yeah, I mean, the stories are just as different as, every person.
And
But
I think I think that's amazing. I just wish I could know more. And I know I'm limited until I actually get to a certain point in my life where all that the questions that I'm asking or want to ask is going to be answered. And that'll probably be long after I'm gone from this place, you know. But I think that would be an amazing moment for me and for everyone. I don't think everyone should be afraid of dying.
hmm It's that fear of the unknown. And I think sometimes that's why people stay in that middle ground that I talk about, because they just
Mhm.
don't know what's going to be on the other side of the light, So they know what it was like to be in the physical realm and they know what it's like to be in the middle ground, but, they're still not sure what that's going to be like. And, so maybe they just hesitate until they get up the courage to do it. Or maybe I've had some cold case dolls where, they want somebody to help them solve the crime, and I'll get all the clues I can and, include that in their description. And people who like that kind of, there's a lot of people into true crime and stuff like that, and a lot of that's, stuff from the 70s and the 80s and, cases that were never solved. So that's something interesting that people like to do as well.
Yes, I had. It's interesting because that's very interesting because uh, in this day and age, there are a lot of people that are coming to you for answers.
Mm,
Whether it's FBI, CIA, or just the average police department.
hmm
If there's a cold case that needs to be solved, uh, they will seek out a well-known individual that is gifted and
hmm
just, ask, hey, what do you think
Yeah.
about this? And,
Yeah, I love that because, there are a lot of skeptics out there. There are a lot of people that don't believe in it. They think that we're kooky. They think it's a hoax. A lot of them think that. A lot of them think it's like something like a mystery they need to solve, like they want to debunk all of it. Um, so a lot of them think it's like power of suggestion. So I don't know. I have people like that. They'll want to confront me and, well, this is bullshit or whatever. And, I'll just agree to disagree. I don't care what they think. I know what I know and I've experienced what I've experienced. And, I do say when it happens to you, you'll be a believer when you see something,
oh,
you know.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Or you live in Camden, Ohio.
Yeah.
Do you, and I know, dude, there are so many paracons that are in the Northeast. Do
Mm.
you sometimes take a couple of your friends and do you uh, uh, go to the paracons? Do you show what you have?
Mm.
And if so, how does the community react towards you when you're out there?
Well, people who are coming to a Paracon, they're believers, so they love it. There's one coming up. I don't know if you've heard of, I mean, I know you follow a lot of haunted locations, but have you heard of Mansfield Prison in Ohio? It's a very haunted prison. They do
I
ghost
got a
tours.
lot of friends. I got a lot of friends that are in Ohio, and
Mm.
they sometimes speak about. I think a place like that. There are so many others
Well, they're
that.
doing a Paracon in May, and I'm hoping to be able to set up there for that, but it's actually going to be inside the prison blocks. So
Wow.
they've seen, I mean, they see a lot of apparitions in that prison. Yeah.
Well, I hope you have some kind of electricity because it gets hot, and I'm pretty sure it'd be hot in that
Well,
location.
May in Ohio is going to be, it's always a crapshoot in Ohio. They always say if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll be different. It is sort of like that around here.
That's not like Texas. Golly, man,
Yeah.
yeah, it changes one minute we get floods, the next minute it's 120.
Mhm.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it's really hard sometimes, and I know it's hard for you dealing with the community and dealing with certain individuals that don't understand certain things.
Mhm.
But the one people that I really, really have to say is, what does your parents think about what you do
Mm.
and how they react to all the things that you have in your residence? And if not, your parents are still around. Your kids, what do they think about what you
Mhm.
do? And do they come around as much or not as much?
Mhm. Well, I told you I grew up in a really religious home and they didn't like that kind of stuff. My mom has passed away. My dad is in his 80s and in a nursing home, but actually he watches all of my TikTok stuff and he's really excited for me. And actually he had a girlfriend at the assisted living and he asked me to send her a haunted doll and I did. So, they're supportive with it. my kids, of course, I raised them to be open, and they're sensitive as well. So they love it, and they especially my one son, he loves all things creepy. My other son, he's just very intuitive and open.
Now, it's any one of them, are they willing to continue your legacy of haunted dolls and stuff like that?
Probably not. I'd say it's probably going to end with me. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
So
a lot of my family and my friends that they'll say, "This is your calling. This is what you were meant to do," and I would have to say I agree, but it's not for everybody.
well, no, it's not for everybody. It's mainly for those who have the patience to want to do something like this, and those that are have an understanding in
Yeah.
certain
And
things.
I told you about how I do the mirror scry, and I'll start out with the pendulum and the rods, and we'll do some Ouija, and I'll get a name and a date a lot of times that way. And then I'll ask them if they'll show me whatever they want to show me in the mirror, and
Mhm.
it takes a while, but I'm empathic too. So like when it gets to the point where, they're laying and dying, or they're in an accident or whatever, I feel all of that. So it's kind of draining. So, I don't do interviews with them every day because of that reason. And, I don't like to do more than 2 or possibly 3, just depending on how heavy, they are. But, I don't feel as bad about, I mean, I don't like human suffering, right? But I don't feel that bad about death, because I know it's just a different dimension, and the energy doesn't end. The person's not lost, so, and one thing that I found that makes me feel a lot better is when people are in situations where it's a car crash, or it's a plane that's hitting the ground, or something very sudden's about to happen.
Mhm.
When I'm seeing that in this mirror, I can see that like the millisecond before that bang, whatever that collision, their soul is just popped out a millisecond before, so they don't have to be present for that crushing or that whatever it is that happened to them.
Mm.
And so that makes me feel a lot better as well. I take a lot of comfort in that. That's a divine gift to pull you out of that. And I feel like it may not be as obvious to see, but I think that's going to happen as well if you're laying in a lot of pain with cancer, or whatever you're dying from. I think there's a lot of providence and a lot of grace and a lot of divine intervention for that.
Interesting. You are a paranormal investigator also, correct?
Um, I mean, I'm interested in that stuff. I like to go take those tours, and I just feel like it's different for me, because I'm able to sense things, So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I love to go to those places and do that kind of stuff. I've always wanted to do like an overnight kind of thing. That would be great. But I'm sure I would love it. I'd love to go along and give input to somebody or something like that.
That
That'd
would
be a
be
lot of fun. I've
interesting.
never done it.
That would be interesting. I'd love to have you on an investigation with me, and you walk up to me and tap me on my shoulder and say, "Hey, Terry, look to your left," and I'll
Yeah.
just look to my left.
Yeah.
And I don't look fast, and I always take my time looking, because if you turn too fast, you'll miss it. So
Yeah.
you turn your head to the left, gently, slowly, and I'm able to see exactly what you see. And you're gonna ask me, "Hey, do you see that guy peeping behind that door over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
that's real cool." And I always tell people, man, psychic people are very amazing people. No matter what your gift is, you are here for a reason. And we don't know exactly what that reason is, but I
Mm,
always told people psychic people are going to have a big role to play in the near future.
mm,
Now, I don't know if it's going to be where you guys got to come together and solve the ways of the planet or the earth,
mm,
but it's you guys going to have a big role to play here soon.
mm. It reminds me of a doll that I had. Her name was Erin. It was Aeryn. And she was a time traveler doll. And what had happened with her she was like from the far future. I want to say it was like 28 something. And right at the time of her death, there was a time rift and it threw her back to here. So she was able to share with me a lot of things about her life in the future. Some of it didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was really interesting though. So yeah, I think in the future, people are, they're more and more open to this kind of thing all the time. And I think the internet and, you can connect with other people who understand you, and I think that
Yeah.
makes us all stronger.
Now, have you worked with any other psychic medium in your community, or is this just you always been a loner?
No, I mean, I've had friends, that were gifted and I've gone and had readings with them and things like that. Everybody's got a different gift and that, they use it in a different way. I'm very envious of the ones who can see people's future really clearly. And that's one of the things that's interesting about the dolls is they're at this place that I call the divine perspective. So where we're only able to see this moment, the dolls, they're like up higher, right? So they can see the recent past and they can see the very near future. So when you're asking them for advice, they have a bigger perspective. So they're able to give us good advice because they can see, we can't see the forest for the trees, but they can get up above the trees and give us a little bit of a, guidance.
Do you have anything that's Native American?
Yeah. I sure do. I have that come through quite a bit. Yeah. They're very
And
interesting. They're so spiritual,
yeah,
and a lot of them will have like animal whispering abilities. They're able to talk with your pets and, interact with horses and things like that.
do you have any pets, cats or
hmm
dogs?
I have 2 dogs, 2 shepherds. hmm
That's interesting. Do they
Yeah.
go up
And
there?
some dolls they do not like, and other dolls, I swear, call them to them. hmm And I did
Oh,
have a doll recently that had animal whispering abilities, and she told me that Jax, that his ear was bothering him, and I looked, and it did really need cleaned out. And the other one is a pup, and she told me that he was feeling anxiety because um, he's so rambunctious, and he feels like we don't love him as much because he's wild, basically. So it was good to have that insight, so I tried to give him a little extra love, and I checked the ear on the other one. So that's interesting. Wouldn't that be a great gift to have?
oh, tell me about it. Yes,
Yeah.
that would be. I mean, I would. I'll definitely have some fun with it. You know, a lot of people with gifts sometimes don't do the right things with it.
Mm.
Sometimes they always, how can I say this? Yeah, they just, they, they, how is it that people with gifts always seem to do, some of them always seem to do the bad things?
Yeah, I
And
mean, you mean like taking advantage of people and charging too much and
yeah, they
make,
always seem to do the bad things.
yeah,
And I'm very, I don't like that.
yeah.
You
Well, it
know,
makes us look bad. I don't like anybody that makes the, I guess, profession look bad.
yeah, and uh, uh, cause you mentioned you do tarot cards, correct?
Uh-huh.
And I'm still trying to figure that whole tarot card thing out. It's
hmm
something pretty much new to me.
hmm
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that whole process works.
hmm
With the tarot cards, do you tell the future or the past, or do you just tell the now?
I'm just usually when I use them, it's helping me learn more about the person, you know.
Okay.
So the cards, they all have a basic meaning, and it's a lot of it's memorizing all of those basic meanings. But then where your intuition comes in is in the application of that card. So anybody can learn the cards and turn them up and say, "Oh, that's what it means," and that's correct. But you have to go a step beyond and be able to interpret that and apply it. and help the person to apply it to them in their life.
And how consistent are with your tarot cards?
I mean, I believe them. Yeah, I mean, they're
You know,
helpful.
is it easy? Is it hard? Is it easy or is it hard for the person that you're reading it for? Is it is it easy or hard for them to understand what you're trying to tell them, or do you lay it out in the most complete form that you can so where they can understand?
I've done readings for living people, and it's interesting, but it's difficult for me. I just get so much. But I'll do like a 3-card spread with each doll, and I'll look at those cards, and it's just another clue to go in to help me piece the person together. It's all about getting to know them well enough that I can do a description, that goes along with them, that allows the right person to know that that's the doll for them. So, sometimes it's a silly detail. It's like, maybe mention that I'm a hairdresser, and then, that catches the person that they're supposed to go to, that catches their attention because that's what they do. So they realize that's the doll for them. Or, maybe it's because their favorite color is purple. Sometimes it's silly things, but, so anything they have to tell me, I'll try to take it and figure that out and present that to help them get adopted. That's what a lot of the collectors call it, get adopted to the right home.
Cool. I see that you have a doll to the left, to the top right. No, to the left, top left. It's a little bitty doll. And for some reason, I can't seem to keep my eye off of it.
Really? You feel like drawn to it?
Right. I don't know if you can see it, but it's to the left, and it's dressed in white. And if you point your finger, I will show you.
Am I going this way?
No, you're gonna go to the left a little bit. Okay, that would be my right. I mean, your left. That would be your right, my left.
Like over in here?
No, the other side.
Over in here.
One more. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going to the left.
This?
Yep, that one.
Yes. This one has really got a creepy energy to it.
Now, who is this fella?
This is actually a female spirit.
Ah.
Yeah. And her name was Charlene.
Is that a porcelain doll?
Yes.
Okay.
Really creepy eyes on this one.
Yeah, that's what caught my attention.
Yeah, and that thing, when they catch your attention that way, that's them calling to you. And they'll do that, for people on the internet. They'll be able to call the right person to them.
And what's her name again?
Charlene.
Charlene, I'm sorry, but I can't.
Would that bother you to have Charlene in your room?
Yes.
Would it? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we talked a little bit before we came on. We were talking about the different kinds of relationships that people have with their dolls. And that, I get all kinds of messages from people, and people, they'll buy repeatedly from me. They'll follow up with me and tell me how it's going and that kind of thing. Some people really like the child ghosts. They like that unconditional love. They want to have like a parent role. There are people who are just looking for friendship and a spirit guide. So you'll have that. And like I mentioned, there are people that are looking for romantic and sexual experiences with the spirits as well. So that's like a whole nother can of worms to get into. But
yeah, it is.
That happens. Yeah. And it happens a lot. It's not, every once in a while. But, there are dolls that kind of have that. I call it sex magic, It's like a succubus kind of an energy.
No, I am good with that.
Yeah. And
I
I mean,
am.
they have some interesting powers. They're dream walkers, most of them. They can enter your dreams. And one of the ways that you can invite them for that is to either put them in your bed or right beside your bed. And that's sort of an invitation for them to come into your dreams. And the more connected you get with the succubus spirit, the more vivid they become, the more you can remember them, the more lucid they are, meaning you can make decisions, conscious decisions, and you're more present in the dream. So yeah, they have that spirit. They have amplifier abilities where they can make emotions and sensations and things like that stronger. And they have a vicarious touch thing where some of them can actually feel your touch through the doll, you know. So yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah. And I did a thing on TikTok. We were talking about offerings. A lot of people give gifts to their dolls. And we were talking about, what kinds of things are good to give as a gift. So I thought before you can really delve into that, you have to be aware of what they're able to do sense wise, right? So
Mhm.
the haunted dolls, the ghosts, they can see, okay, and they can hear, right? And they can smell. Okay, so they enjoy all those kinds of things. A lot of them really like perfume and colognes for offerings, candles that are scented, things that are baking, coffee, cigarettes. Some of them, they can enjoy those smells. Now, as far as the sense of touch goes, they can do that, but it's very instantaneous. So you'll notice when people get touched by a spirit, it's a quick thing, so they are able to do that sense, but just briefly, so if they wanted to feel what something felt like, they could do that briefly. Same thing with taste. It's like if you just put your tongue to a lollipop and you just got that little bit of a taste, they can do that, just the tiniest little bit. They can't enjoy a meal, they can get that little tippy bit of a taste. So like a lot of people will give the child ghost lollipops and things like that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I
Enjoy it.
mean, I've heard people should leave chocolates and gifts and stuff like that, for
Mhm.
a quick taste. Quick comments and uh Joe. I do not need a roommate. I am good. Thank you. And external wolf pack. No, I probably couldn't afford it. I probably couldn't afford it if I wanted to buy it. Yeah,
You'd be
guys.
surprised. I told you 15 to 50 is the average doll.
Yeah, I'm so broke, it's ridiculous. I'm still recovering from the holidays,
Yeah.
but and besides, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if my wife would even to allow me to have another female in the house. That would be very interesting within itself
Hmm.
because my wife, she passed away, and I know she's here, and I
Mm.
know because I felt her, I've sensed her, I've heard her, and people have seen her.
Yeah.
So, and she's always been that person she's very selfish.
Mm.
She's always wanted, even when I got a cat, she was very jealous of the cat. So I
Mm.
can imagine
Yeah.
what she would think about another female, and that would be interesting.
Mm.
Mr. Jeffrey Vaughn, where have you been hiding at, man? How's things going over in the UK? I kind of miss you guys coming out and on the podcast. So hey, thank you for coming on and saying hello. But I'm going to show you what he says. Are you able to read that?
Have there been any studies? Hmm. I, you know, I don't know of any studies or whatever. I'm sure somebody's done some of it somewhere. And like I said, me being a little bit older and like using all these old school, what they call old school methods, a lot of the younger collectors, they're using cat balls and talk boxes and, all the EMF and
Mhm.
K2 and all that stuff. And I mean, I think that's more along those lines. But for me, it's just a little more, homey. It's interesting. I'd love to see a study done.
I think that would be too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ron Jeffrey. Look at this. Oh, that is so cute, Joe. I appreciate it that you want to send me. Are
Yeah.
you adding $15 so I can have? Hey, you know what, man? If she, I'm willing to do that, but you got to pay where you lay, man. She's got a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe someday you'll get a box and you just won't know what it is, and you'll open it up and it'll be Charlene.
Susan, it will say return to sender.
Yeah.
I am not as much as I've probably walked about 1,000,000 times on something that has an attachment to it, and I would never know.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would never.
I think if the average person knew how many spirits were swirling around their house on an average day, they'd be terrified.
They'll be petrified.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Because today's, I can also say is today's generation would not understand compared to generations of the past. They understood it. They might not accept it, but they knew what was going on at one point in time, and they just happened to live with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of superstition kind of surrounding them. I don't know if you've ever noticed on TikTok, but whenever you show a haunted doll, you'll start getting all these comments that say sorry and I claim no negative energy and all that stuff. So, I asked the dolls one day with the dowsing rods, and I did a video about it, and I was like, if someone doesn't say if they make eye contact with you, or are you able to send bad energy to them? And yeah, they said they can. So, some people, that's a big superstition and a big thing they do on TikTok. And there is some validity to it, I guess. If it were an evil entity, they could send you bad energy, bad juju.
Yeah, because I actually worked right across the street from one of Austin's oldest cemetery. And the crazy,
I love cemeteries.
And Susan, when I drive toward that cemetery, I try not to look in it, because if I look in it, somebody's going to see me looking at them. And once the spirit sees you looking at them, you get that eye contact. Oh man, no telling what's going to happen then.
Yeah, I love the vibes of a cemetery. There's always lots of people hanging around on both sides of the dirt.
You're one of the ones that says that, but I'm like you. I'm like, dude, there's people hanging around cemeteries. Why wouldn't they be? But then you got your critics out there that are saying, well, what would be the logical reason for anybody to even want to hang around their body or hang around anyone at a cemetery?
It's just a personal decision. I mean, to think about your body. You've been attached to it your whole life. You can see where you would have some difficulty walking away from it. And that's some people's decision. And I'm going to stay here by my body, and then somebody else is like, well, I'm going to go back and find my house or try, or I'm just going to wander in this place here. And, oh, there's a doll.
Yes. Mr. Vaughn, are you still in Oregon, or are you not? Or are you back in Georgia now? What's going on with you, brother? Yeah. Man, there's so much, and it takes, and I want people like you to continue showing the world a little bit that it's not as bad as people think it is. So it's, the possibilities are endless, and with you doing what you're doing, man, it's a great thing. I don't know how many times I've come across people, man, who just think I'm nuts.
Oh, me too. Me too. And, I always say the insane asylums are full of people that are gifted, and people just don't believe them. We're a little odd.
And do you think that? And I think this is my personal take, and I just think that's why the insane asylums of the past were so full, because people like you and that were gifted, that were saying things that people just don't understand. It
Yeah.
was the reason why they were there. You know what I'm
Right. I'd be
saying?
burning at the stake for being a witch if I, if I were in a different time frame. Yeah.
Boy, you can't, my friend. Half of my friends would be buried at the stake at the stake, man, because half of them I know are witches.
Mm,
Half of them I know are sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So I guess we'll all be burning together.
I guess, I guess we're just blessed that we were put into this time where people are so open-minded and so interested in things that are different.
Hmm. But I'm glad that this is happening. But I'm also afraid of the next generation of you,
Mm,
because they might not be as compassionate and loving like you are. It
mm.
might be something total opposite. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm afraid of this particular generation now, because they have no compassion, they have no love, they have no understanding. They want everything right then and now. They have
Mhm,
no willpower to want to go out and earn for what they want. They want to just take, and they don't
mhm,
want to work for anything.
mhm. Yeah, and they don't want to interact with people in real life. I think that's sad. Yeah.
I really do, and I tell my kids all the time, man, get out in the world and socialize, see what's going
Yeah.
on out there.
Man,
The
when we
world
were kids, you were out running and you weren't happy unless you were around a bunch of other kids. And,
Mhm.
now they're like, on screens and yeah, it's just not the same.
Yeah, go play baseball at the park. The
Yep.
one thing I do know is I had my butt in the house, or at least around the house, before the street lights came on.
Hmm. Right.
And
It's
what
like
you
a
really,
virtual reality life now for
yeah,
people. Hmm.
it's crazy.
And it
You're
gets
right.
worse. That's the time travel doll kind of let me see that it gets worse.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. The afterlife is all around us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You mentioned, okay. This is for you, Susan.
How much of the future is she allowed to talk about? She gave me lots of really interesting information. She was in a relationship with like an android robot type thing. Yeah. So that was called robosexual, and that was like an identity preference in the future. Um, I say was, but I guess it's is. Um, she talked about lots of things about how I guess like CERN, how they some of the experiments have just got time all twisted. She says twisted like taffy, and that it gets really a lot worse as the future comes on, and there's more of these like Mandela effect kind of things, and these people feeling like their timeline has changed, and you hear lots of stories like that, and I guess it just gets more muddied and much worse. I want to say she was from 28 something in the teens. I can't, I meet so many ghosts, but something like that. And yeah, the future, I mean, a lot of things are the same, but a lot of things are really different.
I sometimes I always think about what you just said. Uh, can you imagine at some point, and I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime or your lifetime or anybody's on the show lifetime, but can you imagine having a generated AI individual, complete resemblance of someone you lost
Yeah.
from head to toe, same facial feature, body feature, the way they talk, the way they act, the way,
Mhm.
and they get all of this, and they get all her emotions from here. They're able to
Mhm.
generate all that from here, and they'll be able to duplicate the one that you lost. Now,
Time travel doll told me about, these robots that you can buy in the future to be a mate, and they could like input DNA into it. And the one that she had, actually, she said there was like an old Hollywood trend, and she chose like a Raquel Welch kind of, and that had some of her look. I guess it looked a lot like Raquel Welch and had some of her personality traits, but at the same time was, like that AI kind of android thing.
Dude, I don't know if that would mess my head up completely. I wouldn't know how to respond to that if
Mm.
I get a knock on the door,
Mm-hmm.
I go to the door, and I'm looking, and I see my AI wife there.
Yeah, it looks like
Same.
Marilyn Monroe, maybe.
I'm like, what the hell? Who? What?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would
But
want
you
to
know, what
embrace.
does that do to human contact?
Oh,
Who's
God.
going to want me when they can pay for Marilyn Monroe, right?
Yeah,
And they can get her programmed to not, you know, make a mess or leave their towel on the bathroom floor or whatever. You know what I mean? They're going to be a lot more perfect than us. So pretty soon, who needs any of us? Let's just let
yeah,
all the robots interact, right?
yeah. Or somebody
Yeah.
like me that don't like to leave the toilet seat down or leave the toilet seat up or whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting time
Yeah.
for those that are going to be around.
I don't like the idea of it because I like quirky people. I like uniqueness and strangeness. So,
They said that the Egyptians did do that. I mean, I don't know if they were able to do that or not. I think that would be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, like when you watch those shows and they talk about how maybe there was like alien interaction with the Egyptians, maybe they taught them how to do that. You know, maybe they figured that out.
Yeah, but it's amazing how the times has changed. I mean, just 20 years ago, we didn't have none of this. 30 years ago, we didn't have none of this. I remember when uh, Bill Gates did what he did and changed the world.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, it was you know what? I remember when we had internet and I had to go to the Circle K and get those little discs, floppy disks, put it in there, connect my my phone to my computer in order for me to use the internet like that.
Yeah, you'd have to sit and let it dial up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember all that. Yeah.
You get the sound that freaking
Mhm.
would drive you crazy now. You know what I'm saying? But compared to what's going on today, man,
Mhm.
we can, I mean, there's a lot that we done in that shorter period of time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I've done a couple podcasts with a girl from Dublin, Ireland. And every time I do it, it's just so strange to me that I can just sit down hundreds of miles away, just like you and I, and have a conversation like that. It's amazing, you
yeah.
know. Back when I
I
was a kid, I mean, it would look like the Jetsons. If I could see this moment right now, I probably wouldn't have been able to fathom that I'd be able to do that.
Yeah, I had a couple of guys from from Johannesburg, South Africa on the
Mm,
show. And I'm
yeah.
like, dude, we are so many hundreds and thousands of miles away, and we're actually sitting down and actually we can reach out and grab each other. That's
Hmm.
what it seems like.
Yeah.
And technology has really became of age. Now, with technology being the way that it is, the way that it's going, how do you
Mm.
think that what do you think is going to happen to what you are doing? Do you think the haunted doll fascination? Do you think it would just go to the to the wayside? How do you think that all going to play out in the future when it comes to what you do?
I don't know. I mean, there's just still something about what a human can do, you know. We can make robots be nurses, but they're missing something, and it's that compassion, So I don't know. I just think there's always going to be a need and an interest in things that are at a human level like that. A real story of a person's life, a real spirit that's tangible. I think that's what we like about it is, it's not as ethereal. It's more tangible.
Yeah, you keep grabbing her like I'm gonna have to come buy her from you. She keeps popping up. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, I I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it. I like I say, I know people who do what you do, and they're so. How do you handle the critics?
I'll listen to what people have to say, and like I said, we just agree to disagree. You know.
Because there's always one knucklehead out there that want to takes it a little bit farther than it should.
Yeah.
You got the biggest thing. You have the church. The church, I think, is one of the biggest critics out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I've come across people that are very religious, and I come across people who believe in what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that they don't understand is, especially people that are very religious, is we're not doing this just to be doing it. There's a reason why we do this. There's a reason for why you do your thing. There's a reason for why I do my thing. And what we do, it just didn't come up out of the air.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just my personal opinion, but religion in some ways is a business, and spirituality, that's different.
Business. It's $1 billion a year business.
Right.
For those of you who are into the church and you get
right. And it was invented to control people, to make things happen. It's like politics, really. It's like one of the oldest forms of politics.
Oh, that's politics 101 when it comes to the when it comes to religion. Susan, I'm gonna get you a couple more questions and I'm gonna get you out of here because I know you got better things to do than hang out with me, somebody that can talk all night. Everybody has a bucket list. You have a bucket list. Where would you like to go to collect more dolls? Anywhere in the country, where would you like to go?
I'd love to go to Europe. We were able to go to Thailand some years back, and all the temples and the Buddhas, and that was amazing. And the spirits just have a different feel there. People are very spiritual there. So that was a lot of fun. But I would love to do Europe. I just think I get a few dolls, like I'll buy dolls from overseas from doll collectors just so that I can experience some other cultures because I love it. But it's a lot of fun.
Europe, anywhere else? I mean, we're talking about a big world where you can go anywhere you want.
Gosh, I don't know. Just I don't know. I'd like to go everywhere, really. I love to travel. We've done a lot of Caribbean stuff and Alaska, and so.
Yeah,
I love to get out, and whenever I do go somewhere, I'm always heading to the secondhand stores and trying to find what I can find. I got one doll that was a lot of fun. We were doing a trip. We went to Las Vegas, and we went on a tour bus that took us to Hollywood, California, and we got to see all the stuff there. And then on the way back, we came on that, famous Route 66, and we stopped at a store, and it had like a secondhand section. And I got a doll there, and she had been a dealer at a Vegas casino, and she was one of the ones that was, she gave you a lot of good luck. So I still get messages from the lady who bought her, adopted her, or whatever. She will let me know when they've won at the casino. She takes her to the casino with her. So I love to get, other cities. You get to learn things about cities. It's a lot of fun.
Are there any dolls that you would never give up, that you wouldn't you got in there and you refuse to sell? Or do you have a collection of those?
Yeah, I have some of my original ones and a couple dolls that I've had since childhood and things like that. And yeah, I mean, I have a core collection that are my own.
Yeah, you're not gonna sell them. I don't
Right.
blame you.
Right.
I don't
Your
blame you.
old friends, who's going to
Oh
give
yeah,
up their old friends?
yeah, I agree with you there. I will not give them up, especially if they've been as honorable and respectful. You
Yeah.
know,
And
I
I'll tell
wouldn't.
you, there's so many of them here. They like the idea that this is a temporary stop because they get lost in the shuffle and there's all that energy. It'd be sort of like, staying in a very crowded area with a lot of other people. They're looking forward to getting to the place where they're supposed to be and be in the center of attention.
Right, right.
Yeah, I look
All
forward.
right. So, interesting. One more question, my friend, and I'm gonna let you get out of here.
Okay.
Um, if I was to come to Camden, Ohio,
Mm,
knock on your door,
yeah.
say, Susan, may I speak with you? And
Yeah.
you're going to say, sure. And I'll say, well, let's go for a walk. And we go for a walk, and we're sitting here, and I'll stop and I'll look at you, and with a serious look on my face, and I was to say, Susan, if I was to give you all the knowledge that you would ever wanted to know about your particular business, why spirits, just anything that had to do with what you do,
Mm,
would you want that knowledge? Or would you say, hey, Terry, as much as I appreciate you offering that to me, no, I will want to keep doing what I'm doing it, and I want to learn this knowledge on my own. Which way would you go, the right or the left?
I'm a mystery person, so I want to figure it out as I go. I love ice cream, but I don't want to eat all the ice cream from my life in one sitting. I want to spread it out. I want to enjoy it over and over again. It's the same thing. When I get to the point, maybe in that middle ground where I have divine knowledge, it's raised even higher when you go on through the light to that next level. And we all kind of come together again in the non-physical. I just want to find it out as I go.
Okay, I respect that. A lot of people say the same thing. Like, no, Terry, I will want to continue on my journey. I don't want you
Mhm.
to tell me nothing. I mean, if you want to share bits and pieces, that'd be
Yeah.
great. But
Hmm.
I can't, if I can't give you the whole package, then I can't give you bits and pieces. If either take it all or none at all. I mean,
Right.
and so I can't give you little bits and pieces of it.
Hmm.
So a
Would you
lot of
want
people,
to know it all?
yes, I would want to know.
Yeah, I got that sense. I felt like that's what you were going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to know.
Hmm.
As and the reason why is the same reason why you would want to continue on with your journey.
Hmm.
You are curious on what's down that path, and I am the same way. But
Hmm.
my situation is I want to know it all.
Hmm.
So, but it didn't say that I couldn't share that knowledge with others. So I
Hmm.
want to be able to collect that knowledge and share it with others, whether they believe me or not.
Right.
This knowledge will be here. So to me, whether I continue on that knowledge, on that journey like you, or I was to collect it all at one time and share it with the world, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just gonna take you a lot longer to
Yeah.
get there.
Well, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So
Yeah.
I want to enjoy it as I go.
But you know what? Anytime if you ever want to know, just I'm a phone call away.
You have all the secrets of the universe.
Well, I know the secrets of the universe. That I don't know that, but I know some of the keys to the universe.
Yeah.
That is it. Very interesting. A lot of people don't know. What is the key to the universe is, but it's so self-explanatory. I think everybody knows it. Everybody should know it anyway.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'll let you figure it out. But it is what it is.
I think it's
Okay.
different for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone. But you know what? It's a reason when they shot. The craziest thing is when they shot Voyager 1 into deep space. What is the one thing that they had on that disc that was more than any other? Do you know what that was?
Mm.
Music.
Mm.
Music. That is something that's universal because
Mhm.
everybody can relate to music. I
Yeah.
don't care if you're an alien, or a bird, or something of nature.
Mhm.
What is the one thing that everybody can recognize is when you got a hummingbird, he's humming. That's
Mhm.
some form of music. When you
Mhm.
got bees that are uh, producing honey, they're
Mhm.
buzzing. So that's
Mhm.
some type of music. When you got thunder, and that's some kind of music.
Mhm.
Everything is evolved
Mhm.
around sound and
Yeah.
music, and it's
And music,
wonderful.
I mean, sound is a vibration, and everything is made up of vibration. So I think that's why we connect with that so much. And it's interesting, like I told you, we went to Thailand, and you would hear songs and not understand a word they were saying, but you could feel the emotion of that. You could tell if it was about love. You could tell if it was sad. You could tell if it was joyous and fun.
Mhm.
So yeah, absolutely.
And before I get you out of here, this is something I think more people need to do. As paranormal investigators, I feel like you really need to put music into your investigation practices
Mm,
because music is the era of music are different.
mhm,
Now, you can't put music today into the music that are in the 40s and the 30s because they
mhm.
would not understand it. They don't
Right,
know how to feel towards it. But
right.
you can put music of that era into an investigation in that time,
Mhm,
and it would change the entire complex of your location.
mhm,
Your spirits have a tendency to become live when
mm.
they hear certain types of music.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
interesting.
because music is universal. What is
Yeah,
one thing that can get you going, can make you move, and make you happy?
your mood.
Did you say
Yeah.
food?
Change your mood. I said,
Change your
you can
mood.
be at a club or whatever and dancing and high energy and a lot of fun, and they put on a slow song, and you pull that person you're with close to you, and you're listening to that music, and then all of a sudden you're in an entirely different place than you were a few minutes before.
Yeah. Say,
It's
name anything on the planet. Name anything on the planet that can do that.
right. Hmm.
Music is the only one that can do it. And
Yeah.
I think that's why people can relate so much to it.
Hmm. Yeah. Very interesting. Are you a musician?
No, I'm not. No, I'm a historian of music.
Mm,
I love music. I
yeah.
love big band. I love blues. I love jazz. I love certain types of country, mostly
Mm,
the old type, Kenny
yeah.
Rogers and
I
stuff
like
like
all that
that.
stuff too. Hmm.
I love,
I have a very eclectic playlist. I listen to, all kinds of stuff from Nina Simone to Chappell Roan,
yeah,
and everything in between.
the biggest, the biggest. I love the 80s.
Mm,
70s. They say the 80s had good music, but the 70s were right there too.
hmm.
You
Oh, yeah.
know,
All that
Skip,
70s soft rock, I could listen to that all day.
man, where can you get Foreigner, Journey, uh, bits of Blue Oyster Court? Where
Mm,
can you get all that at?
yeah.
It kind of changed in the 80s to the long hair, the big, the rock
Mm,
and roll, but it went from the 90s. When it changed in the 90s, that's when we had that baby boom thing. And a lot of kids were born in the 90s because of the type of music that they played. Trust
hmm.
me, in the 90s, I had three. And
Yeah.
music, certain types of music would just put you in that, like you say, put you in that particular mood. and
Mhm.
the rest is history. You already know what's going to come next.
Yep.
And the rest is history, my friend. But
Yep.
yeah, that's just the music is unbelievable. I love bluegrass.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't talk much about bluegrass, but bluegrass, man, in West Virginia,
Mhm.
Kentucky, Virginia, there's a lot of bluegrass bands,
Mhm.
that I just love bluegrass. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
like gospel music. I'm not a big religious person, but gosh, some gospel music has just got so much gratitude and so much praise to a higher power, and I can get behind all that. And some of
yeah,
that is just beautiful as well. You know.
when it comes to gospel music, I didn't have a choice but to listen to gospel on Sundays.
Mhm.
And I'm like, grandma, again, we're listening to gospel music. Then she'll
Mhm.
put it on, this
Mhm.
and that. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I'm like, grandma, come on, you're killing me. But
Right. I think
she,
all genres of music, if you listen to the cream of the crop of any genre, you gotta give it some props and some appreciation,
yeah.
all kinds.
And people don't understand. If you don't have music, just step outside your door. You can hear all the music that you want to hear.
Mhm.
You can hear the trees
Nature.
moving. You can
Mhm.
hear the birds chirping. I mean,
Mhm.
there is so much. People don't do that no more, Susan. People don't take time out to enjoy nature. People
Mhm.
don't take time just to sit back in a chair.
Mhm.
It's just,
And I think the rain, that's one of my
mm,
favorite sounds is rain.
yeah. My son puts it on that YouTube channel where ambient rain, where I
Yeah.
feel like it's raining all day, and it just makes me sleep.
Yeah.
It makes me sleep for 10 hours,
Yeah. It's very
but
serene.
yeah, nothing but good ambient music. I love ambient music. I mean, I
Mm.
can listen to that all night long. My son's like, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "Ambient music," because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it kind of mellows you out,
Right.
puts you in that mood before you go to bed, and next thing
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
you're out.
Yeah,
You
I watch some of those TikTok channels and they're doing the sound bathing, with the bowls and they'll
hmm
tell you what chakra they're doing and you can feel it. They'll say that, this is a heart chakra sound and you can just feel it at that level, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I love music. I'm glad they put that in the Voyager, man, because it's something that I don't care what planet you're from, you have to understand music because
Mhm.
I think there's sound on every planet
Yeah.
that in the universe.
Oh
That
yeah.
there has to be because there's wind, there's animals, there's just things out there that makes noise that
Mhm.
you can relate to.
Yeah.
And I just happen to enjoy it. Susan, tell the world how to get a hold of you and if they want to buy something from you.
Well, my store is called Haunted Playthings by Susan. I'm on TikTok. I do spotlights of dolls. I do lives where I just give information about dolls, lots of things that people haven't maybe thought about for
Mhm.
caring for your haunted dolls and respect of them and stuff like that. And, my eBay Haunted Playthings, there's always dolls listed there. And like I said, they're a lot more reasonable than a lot of the sellers you'll find. I'm not looking to make a killing. I'm looking to connect spirits and people. So haunted playthings.
All right. Well, ma'am, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I thank you for your time. I
Mm,
thank you for sharing some of your knowledge with me and give me an opportunity to meet some of your friends that you
yes.
have behind you. And
Yes.
and maybe just one day I might buy your little friend or my new friend that somehow, some way managed to
Nice saying bye to you.
get my attention. If I had a daughter, I might buy that for my daughter.
Yeah.
But considering I got all boys, I don't know how they would feel about that. You know what I'm saying? And my
Yeah.
wife, she's kind of uh she's kind of jealous. She even though we've been parted for 4 years, she feel that
Mhm.
attachment. She still got the shackles on my feet,
Yeah.
and and I still have the ring on my hand. So,
Right. Yeah.
People say to death do us part, but I think marriage for over 30 years, it goes a lot deeper than that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's just me. I ran across somebody last night. Why do you still have that ring on if you're married? Why you not trying to date somebody else? I like because if you know what I know back at the house, then you can't you can't bring nobody because no, I could never bring somebody here because I already know what kind of trouble I would get into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
my wife have a tendency of getting messages to me that are somewhat how can I say how can I say this? That are somewhat meaning. She could be a mean woman at times, and she have a tendency to speak her mind. So
Yeah. Direct.
huh? Yeah.
Direct. Yeah.
Yeah, very direct. And she's more direct now than she was when she was actually alive because she knows that she can say what she wants and she knows there's nothing I can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, bear in mind, she's got that divine perspective, so she's able to see the picture better than you. So, heed the advice.
But she's going to have to pay the piper sooner. She can talk all the crap she wants. But at time, when the time comes, she's going to have to face the piper.
Yeah.
And you know who the piper is. I'm the piper. She's going to have all that crap she's talking. She's going to have to eventually, you've been talking. I'm here now. What are you going to do? You're talking all that smack while I'm down there on the earth. Now I'm here. Now she's going to go hide behind a tree somewhere. But Susan, once again, man, I thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I think all the people that were in the comments tonight that came on and was listening to the show. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. I'm going on vacation, and I won't be doing a podcast for a while. So, yes, I'm doing some investigating Monday and Tuesday, and I'll be out for the rest of the week. So, Susan, please continue doing what you're doing, and a lot of love and a lot of respect for you. If you guys ever want to reach out to her, please do, man. Check out her TikTok and check out her YouTube page and see what she got going on, man. I think it's pretty good. And if you ever want to buy something, she probably got what you need. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Susan, you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And guys, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. This is Terry with NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. Peace. Bye, guys. Bye, Susan. Thank you. Bye-bye. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. Bye, all you guys in the back. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah, they say bye.
Bye.